Alrighty, we are here looking at you on King's Row. Since we've already kind of been talking and we already kind of have an understanding, I guess you want to try to work on your positioning. So I'm going to focus on that largely throughout this video. And in the beginning here, I'll note that you're going to end up pulling behind this wall to play alongside your soldier, which is pretty good. Other places you could be, depending on where your team is you could be in hotel. You could be sitting over here, for example, in here. You could be right outside of this door, still under the carapace here, so that you can heal whatever tank wants to sit right there and still be able to guard an angel backwards. Just kind of depends on what comp you're running, and I think in this case it's a good place to start being up here with your soldier. So I think that's a good choice.
Hello there.
And we're going to be playing against Widow this game, so you'll see in the beginning this is going to look kind of dicey.
Attackers incoming. Defend.
Let's get you back out there.
So right off the bat, I really like what your Winston's doing here, recognizing that we're playing against the Widowmaker. He protects your soldier on high ground with this shield, so the soldier can try to pull off some value. That's awesome.
Everyone heal up.
Enchanting your damage.
Enemy contact.
So in this little case here, like at this point you should probably know that you're playing against the Widow, and you can probably see how it's not super dangerous. It's not too bad. It's just that from back here, you could have done the Guardian Angel to the Ash from here without having to walk out in front first. So just keeping something like that in mind. And then this is what really bothered me, is by the time you got over to this side, you didn't immediately back up into this area here. You just narrowly escaped death from the Widowmaker, and a better Widow might have actually hit you with that. You can see how this guy's already pulled out, and it doesn't really make sense when you look at it back again. It does, and eventually you'll find yourself like out of that position, which is good. You find yourself down here now. Although, I mean, I still would have liked to see you stay on the high ground. You could have just been still backed away in this corner, or taken the other side. I mean, it's tough because they do have that Widow, so you can't really hold much on the high ground. So maybe it was right, and you do have to hold on to Winston here. So let's see how you play it out. It needs to go a little further. And absolutely not resing this. This is a Reinhardt right there. As tempting as it is, it's good that you chose not to.
Enchanting your damage. Your support has arrived.
Okay, so take a look around real quick. It'd be nice if a teammate was a little bit more like right here. And as soon as you see an opportunity where a teammate pulls back a little bit, you should be trying to look for the super jump either up to here or up to here. Because like, as Mercy, you can still heal from up here. You can grab a beam and just peel behind this little corner here. You don't have to be on the ground. And the fact that you're on the ground here isn't so bad like right now, but like right now it is, as you can see. And this is where you definitely have plenty of opportunity to try to super jump out of this situation, but I kind of feel like you just didn't super jump. And after watching a little bit of this game already, I feel like you don't really super jump too much. And I don't know if it's because it's not in your repertoire, or if it's just something that you don't like to do against Widowmaker, which is fair. If you're trying to not super jump so much against the Widow, I can totally hear your argument on that. It's a good argument. But every once in a while, it's not too bad, especially if you just do a tap super jump, where you're not trying to hold angelic descent in the air. And right there, I don't think I would have even gone for the peek. I mean, you heard Widow's ult pop off in the audio cue, and you didn't really even have to take that risk.
I'm taking care of you.
Objective lost. Stop the
I
payload.
empowered you.
And that's like a little further, that's a little closer than you even needed to be. Like, I want to just note as well, let's go back for a second and pull out third person so you can see what I'm talking about here. I just note where you could be and note where you decide to go. Like, these little nudge forwards. Like, hold on a second. So for a moment, you found yourself, you were back here, and now watch as you go forward a little bit here. Like this nudge forward. See this? So that, like, there's almost no value in this. And you were just the same as Git over here. The same value to the Cesari over here. It's just it seems like it's a little bit unnecessarily close. And like I get it, you know, and I do it too, where there's other things going on, and to be that conscious of your positioning is difficult when you're trying to think about other things, especially if you're spending this time looking at the hero screen, the tab menu, to try to track ults and trying to talk to your team at the same time. Little things like that can definitely just kind of go straight over your head. And that's not the worst thing in the world then, if that's the case, because that means at least you're looking at the tab screen and planning your next ults, tracking the opponent's ults, tracking what they're doing. That is, if you had to choose between doing that and making these tiny micro adjustments in your positioning all the time, I would choose the tab screen and the ult planning, the ult economy, over that any day of the week. It's just over time, eventually, it'll just become more second nature. Like, you don't even need to be in the middle here. Like, if you're going to stand in sort of this position, the further you are towards this corner, the worse. The further you are towards this corner, the safer. Like, you could be with your Zarya right here, right around this corner. You know what I mean?
Barrier activated.
Where does it head?
That leap that Winston did right there was straight throwing, and as you see it here, it was just like, he was super low, you needed to heal him, you couldn't go to him, obviously, that would be feeding, but then he, at low HP, jumped into the entire enemy team. So things like that, obviously not your fault, out of your control, you can't really do anything about it.
Damage amplified.
That was a risky little peek as well, knowing, you know, where the Widow was last time. You really don't have to look around this corner. And so you're right, definitely you're right to be pulling back. Good that you want to regroup with your team here, that's good. Your Zarya is a little bit better at grouping up than your Winston is.
Everybody come over here.
Yeah, everybody come over here. Yeah, good job, Ash. I see here, Ash is going to go for this flank on the right side. You could, if you were so feeling motivated and enabled, you could request that this Ash instead coach to this high ground here and take this position above by the window instead of this position down here, because this position does not feel, it's okay, it's good, it's fine. It's just, you know, they're playing on their team, they're playing things like a Reinhardt, and a Reinhardt can straight up come at you. The McCree can just come at you. But if you're standing up here, the only one that can really start chasing you down is the Lucio, and I guess the Widow could grapple up to you, but that'd be an incredibly aggressive play. I don't think the Widow would do that. So basically, if you were to just tell the Ashe, like, hey, let's not flank the here, let's go up here instead, this would have been a little bit better. At least she'd be on the high ground exactly where she'd want to be. She could initiate with Dynamite a little, you know, I mean, I guess you could do that anyway, but let's see how it plays out. You got the damage
Sniper,
boost going.
be
I
careful.
really like that you're at least, you know, you understand the synergy with Ashe, how Ashe can do more than 200 damage. I think it's 205 on Mercy damage boost. So she can get that critical 200 damage. And in this particular occasion, it looks like your Ashe died and then you pulled out your pistol, and that's clearly the wrong move. You want to get out of there as quick as possible. Or if you're going to go for this res, then do that instead of pulling out the pistol. Almost died with that one.
Let's get you
Really
back in
close
the
to death
fight.
on that one.
Excuse me for drop.
I've got you.
And see, like, that Guardian Angel, I think was a misplay. Like, well, it was obviously a misplay. I think it was a misclick. I don't think you really meant to do that, and you immediately knew how bad that was once you accidentally did it. But man, that was like catastrophic.
My servants never die.
And this ult is, I believe it was okay. It was 6v6 when he used it. Okay, so as soon as the Mercy pocket reaches the Widow, the jig's up. You're no longer going to battle Mercy this Widow down. Although from the front of it, I think it was a good play. I think it was absolutely right to pull out your pistol and pressure this Widow in her face, especially getting as close as you can to her. The closer you are, it's harder for her to scope in and kill you. So, like, for example, if you're kind of like flying in front of a Widow and she's right there and you're right here shooting at her, low value. You're shooting at her from here and she's standing right there, pretty good value. She's standing right there, you're like in her face, meleeing, popping her in the face here, massive value. She is not going to headshot you from this close unless she is just cracked out of her mind, unless she's literally like Ons or Kefri. She's not doing it. So the closer you are, the better, and I like how close you are. This is about the distance, maybe a little bit closer. As soon as you see the Mercy pocket, the jig's up, you gotta pull out. Alright, and you pull out pretty quick on that.
Tactical goggles
I'm
activated.
taking care of you.
You could be damage boosting that, and I see you want to, yeah.
You've got this.
And that could have been on your soldier a little bit to call out that he's going to be doing that, because with a little bit more preparation, he could have said, hey, can I get a damage boost on this? And you could have been a little bit more ready for it. You only kind of caught the tail end of it, which he still got value, he still got 2, so that's still great. It's just like, as you climb, little bits of teamwork like that are going to add up and just help. And again, it's not necessarily your fault. Maybe he just didn't communicate it at all, and it's also on him to communicate that. But you could also be saying like what you plan on damage boosting. You could say like, I'm going to be damage boosting Ashe this next engage. I'm going to damage boost Dynamite or something like that. You could say, hey, let me damage boost your visor. You could say things like that, and as soon as you do, especially if they're in chat, they'll respond positively every time. They're like, oh, you're gonna damage boost me, thumbs up, dude, like, let's fucking do it. 100%.
Let me.
Fire at will. I'm even stronger. Here it comes.
Here's an opportunity again to go for that super jump, because there's this nice little high ground position up here that they're not really paying attention to you as much if you're up here, but down there they can definitely pay attention to you. So up here you could pretty much be healing everyone. They have to really wrap around up here and pressure you and be really out of position in order to pressure you if you're just kind of hanging out up here. So really consider finding these opportunities to super jump to high ground.
Activating the barrier.
I love the spin.
I still have use for you. Hallelujah.
Now to accelerate.
Where does it hurt?
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
Damage increase.
Get over here and heal up. Powered up.
So, and this is another one of those cases, kind of like before, where you can pretty much be sitting right here, or right here. I'd be kind of careful about these positions as well, though, because they do have that Widowmaker. So maybe even like pulling back to here-ish, just being next to one of the walls. But I think the wrong place is in the middle of main. Like if there's one place you don't want to be, it's in the middle of main, kind of where Soldier is right now. Or like hanging out up here. Like if you find yourself sort of like past this magical line right here on the wall, see this little pipe thing? If you find yourself past that line, like ask yourself, what's the value? What's the point? Because it's just further forward than you need to be. Good, I like that you're staying a little bit further back. You still kind of are in the middle of the hallway here. You don't really have to be in the middle if you don't want to be. And this is a little bit further up than you kind of need to be. And you know that Widow just popped ult, so you definitely want to be just like it's close to natural cover and kind of like hiding as much as possible.
Barrier is unstable. Barrier no longer exists.
My servants never die.
And this is a fine ult. You killed the McCree, and then they went for the res, and when they went for res, you went for ult. They got the res, and now it's 6v6. Let's try to end this fight before it even begins. And I like you saw the low health. I think it was Lucio way back there going for the dive. And I think you're right. You're right to stick over here and not jump over to there, because if your teammate is low health, deep flanking the enemy team, it's not your job to run back there, abandon your team, and try to help your flanker from almost certain death. It's not your job. I mean, especially in Valking Mercy mode, to get the most value you can get is to stick with the densest population of your team. And it turns out your Lucio's fine because he kind of take note. He's not fine. Never mind.
Casting a spell on you.
Oh, excuse me.
My damage spell is upon you. My
Tactical
healing
goggles
spell is
activated.
upon you. Ich bin da.
Oh, wow. That was a position. That's really unfortunate. Unlucky.
Helden sterben nicht.
Oh, let's break it. Damn!
A clean bill of health.
Oh, okay. So, the play here is to walk back to spawn, wait for someone. So you're kind of backing against a wall here, taking a little bit too long to walk back. Okay, so you see a Winston. I would take a look, just take a look back to spawn, see who else is coming, because, I mean, if you read the situation here, what do you think this Winston's going to do? Do you think this Winston's going to dive in there and be all like, I'm going to survive? Probably not. I mean, he's got ult, I guess, so he's probably feeling like, yeah, I can handle anything. Let's see what happens. You don't want to be in there as well. That's going to be kind of ridiculous. So, yeah, I mean, the scoreboard up there kind of tells the whole story. Even if you did look back, you wouldn't see anyone because your whole team's dead.
Did someone call for a bitch?
So he goes for at least a not incredibly aggressive jump. He just kind of goes to the high ground. So it could be worse. Definitely correct. Don't go for that res. That would be absolutely feeding. Yeah, you got a Guardian Angel here.
Behind you.
Okay, you're healing up.
Payload is approaching its destination.
I like the res new Zero. Gotta get out of there.
Barrier is unstable.
You found yourself back here. I wish you hadn't. I know you saw the hurting ally over here that was about to die. Kind of wish you hadn't. Kind of just like, I mean, I know the Reinhardt was coming at you. This would have been a good opportunity for perhaps a super jump again. I know the Widow is like right there. But again, you don't always have to do the kind of super jump where you go really high and then angelic descent down. You can do the ones where you go up and then you fall right back down. Let gravity take you right back down. Don't angelic descent. It's pretty fast. You get some pretty good movement speed on that. You get, I think, you get like 15 to 18 meters per second. on that. So it's pretty fast. You're probably not going to get hit. So I'd be going for that here instead of the play where you're deep into the enemy team. I don't know if you're going to find your way out of this, but we'll see what happens.
Hold on.
Oof. So that was unfortunate. You hit something and didn't actually let your guardian angel back.
Unfortunate.
Personne n'échappe à
Now
moi.
I got rid of ult.
Hammer down!
How much you could have done? Yeah.
Round 1. Complete.
Again, I don't think all this advice I'm providing here would have been sufficient for you to win the game, but it's good to be thinking about and increase your win percentage by a small margin, which will hopefully help you increase your SR in a longer period of time.
Ready for battle.
Okay, so this time we're on attack. We're using Moira. In this particular instance, I understand why you wanted to get off Mercy. I think that the right choice would have been Ana instead of Moira. Just mainly because on your team comp here, the main person that's going to benefit from Moira is going to be Sigma. But for the large majority of time, your Winston's not going to be around you. Your biotic orbs are going to be hitting about one or two people per orb, rather than if you were in a death ball comp, they could be hitting like 3, 4, or 5 people on average per orb. And then your short range healing is going to be a lot of the times insufficient for healing this DPS, insufficient for healing this DPS. He's going to be out in the Narnia, and you're not going to be able to heal him very easily. So overall, I don't think Moira is a good choice. I think that Ana would have been the choice. But also, like, Sigma might be juking you because he should really be D.Va. So maybe you thought, well, Sigma, I'll play Moira. Generally, Moira's pretty good with Sigma, so I can kind of see that sort of relationship.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming.
Observe
Defend objective
My
A.
will made real.
Your Winston has no chill, man. He doesn't even have a plan. He just blew both of his cooldowns like as soon as the spawn door opened.
barrier is out of existence.
This will restore you.
That was a fine orb. That was a fine orb. If you're going to commit yourself from this position to this position, I would recommend, especially kind of like where Stigma is, like the option of going from here to here is outclassed by the option of fading from here over to here. Do you see how the option is just completely outclassed in every way? Like the enemy team being here would love to see Moira stand exactly where you're standing right there, but you could actually help Sigma by starting from here and fading over to here. This is an important move in the attack of King's Row. It's like from stage 1 to stage 2. This is the move, is to try to get from there to here, because then you still have natural cover and you have 2 access points. You have a little bit more than that, actually, because you can also go back around this way. The enemy team no longer has you at a really, really hard choke. They now have to deal with the fact that you can come at them from other angles, and especially being on dive. Like, if your whole team assembled right here on the right side of the statue, you can have Winston dive the top over there. You can get on the high ground over here. Like, this just opens up your options completely. This is the position. So I would like to see your team kind of do that, but unfortunately at this point, your team's kind of just a little bit all over the place. You're not really able to protect the Winston here on Moira. And again, this is another reason why I think Ana would have been a better choice on this. Although I understand how it might be easier to survive on Moira. Let's see how this plays out a little bit. So the Sombra's not really able to help or provide any value. Sombra's just going to try to hit the back line. Meanwhile, you're going to have to pull back hopefully down to spawn. And so instead of going to spawn, you've actually opted into taking this route. I think you're going to go to that health pack. Okay, so you use your orb, you take the Mega, and now you're kind of dueling a Lucio. You fade. And again, you got to find your way back into the spawn room on this one. Your Widow's down, so you keep finding a stagger here. At this point, you're still at 5. Now you're at 4. Your team's just kind of coming out of the spawn room. Let's see what Winston... Okay, so Winston pulling back. That's good. Winston didn't just dive in with being 2 down. Okay, so we're still... Alright. He dives in. He could get Ashe. Nope, Ashe is down. Or healed.
Allow me to repair the
No
damage.
longer exists.
So a couple options at this point is you could try to bunker up a little bit and switch your comp completely. You could identify, for example, that the enemy team is, let's see, I mean, really what enemy team is playing is kind of it's kind of like a dive build, but I gotta say it's closer to spam than dive. It's a little bit more spammy than dive. So maybe your comp's fine. It's hard to say. They've got a weird comp. You've also got a weird comp. So I mean, it is what it is at this point. Honestly, I'm hard pressed to suggest much as far as changes. I don't think. Oh, okay. I don't like the choice to go to Zenyatta. I don't think that's the right choice. I think if you're gonna swap to another one, I would have gone Mercy or Brig. Is gonna be better. If you didn't feel like the Lucio was working. Okay, so Zenyatta over there is gonna maybe get a kill, but it seems pretty
This will heal.
out of position. You had to use Fade to pull back. Man, that sucks. Okay, so you've got Sigma Zarya now. Hopefully that's going to make a difference. Now you're kind of closer to like a death ball kind of comp. Playing into this might work. We shall see. Where are you exactly? Let's see. Okay, so you're behind here because you don't have any health, and that's fair enough. You can't really move from here until you get your orb back, which I think you're going to use for yourself. Yep, you're going to be kind of have to.
Allow me.
Barrier is about to
Tell me
break.
how this feels. Allow me to repair the damage. Not yet.
Okay, so now we kind of have perhaps a game plan. We can try to push in with Coalescence, though might not be enough. It'd be nice to have one more ult to go with it, and it looks like we've got a Sigurd. So if we could push in with Moira ult and Sigurd, that could probably break this.
I require healing.
No
Check the bears.
Get into position.
So at this point, you got to find a way to grab some more healing energy. I don't know if you know this, but if you find an enemy and you just need some healing energy, then you can rapidly flicker your damage, your secondary fire there, and if you flicker it, you'll get a faster rate of healing energy increase. And it's a little bit of a sacrifice to damage, but for a good cause. You don't always have to put out as much damage as possible. If it means you can get a little bit more healing energy a little bit quicker, then it's probably good. So that's something, I don't know, I haven't seen you use it yet, but it's a good tech.
Surrender to my will.
And another thing to keep in mind as well, proper play on Moira would suggest that you should always throw an orb, a biotic orb, directly before using Coalescence, because the cooldown of the orb will take as much time as the Coalescence takes. So you can throw orb and then coalesce immediately, and after the Coalescence, throw another orb. So I just keep that in mind, just as another tech on Moira. That's good to know.
Hold up.
That's unfortunate. So Coalescence was one of the tools we could have really used to get through that. We got an Echo switch. Ashe is just farming. They've got ult advantage like crazy. I can't imagine this going well. You're back on Mercy.
Type echo. Type echo. Type echo.
That is gutsy. I just damage boost Echo.
Did someone call for
There we
it?
go.
Damage systems increased.
Okay, okay. I think we've got something going here. Hopefully this will work.
Where does it hurt?
My ultimate is almost
Damage amplified.
Lock on my target.
experience tranquility.
Alright, so we got Zell. That's gonna help us just kind of steamroll us. Good kill with our Junkrat there. That kind of saved the day.
Your support has arrived.
I am taking the objective. Reinforcing position.
Did someone call for it?
Elementary application. Barrier is unstable.
I hope you pull us off. Oh my god.
Gather at this position.
It's better.
Oh, you're getting body blocked. Damn. Yeah, so I think in that case the play would have been to keep retreating through the hotel to the other side. But you know, hindsight's 20/20. I know why you wanted to get through that other side.
A clean bill of health. My servants never die.
Questionable.
I'm taking
Maybe not.
damage.
Maybe it saved it.
Duplicating Winston. Enemy
Damage
target
increased.
located. Beginning 30 seconds remaining.
Take cover.
Oh, man.
Is that melody?
I would definitely liked to see a super jump res there at some point. That would have been very helpful. You would have been outside of the range of the Winston.
Ifundare moderne Medizin.
The objective must be taken.
Objective A captured.
Okay, well, I mean, at least your team got it.
Let's get you back out there. Damage amplified.
Quite the boost.
Let's keep it moving.
The universe flows through me.
Definitely, this is what we're gonna call Dirtle time. So there are two kinds of players: the players that do nothing during this time, and the players that are proactive during this time. So this is your opportunity to try to figure out a plan for you and try to predict what the enemy plan is by looking at the tab screen, seeing, like, remembering who ulted last fight, what did we use, what can we use this fight. And so apparently our Zen's actually doing not too bad because he transed to take point, and now he also has trans again. Good on him. I mean, I guess he actually got a lot of value in that last fight there, able to charge his whole trans again. On the enemy team apparently used everything on that fight, and I did a piss poor job of paying attention to that because I've only just realized that now. So I suck apparently. On your team though, it looks like it looks like you've got Grav. Don't really have anything to pair it with yet. So maybe we want to hold Grav and try to pair it with Junkrat. One thing we can do on this push is we could do something that's kind of known as a soft push, where we all push in pretty hard and we all commit to relentlessly not use any ultimate abilities, but be aggressive enough to warrant the enemy team to use ultimate abilities. And the goal of that is one, it might just work enough that we might get the biggest value, which is to kill the enemy team even if they use ults. But the secondary result is that we know we'll probably lose the fight, but the result is that after the fight, the next fight will have ult advantage. Use the ult advantage to push and take point B. So that's something you could consider talking to your team about as well.
Casting a healing spell. Damage increased.
Now see what I can do.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go on a limb here, and just based on the movement and kind of what you're doing, I'm gonna kind of just take a guess and say this was a dirtle more than it was a proactive downtime. And I know it's hard. I know. I always feel bad when I get onto people like that because it's a tough habit to get out of.
Observe the barrier.
Enchanting your damage.
Fire at will.
So there's our grab. Grab trans.
My healing spell is upon you. I'm under attack. Right beside you.
Smart, don't it?
You can call. Make sure. I hope you called your team the Ash there on the left.
Let's get you back out there. My damage spell is upon you. Casting a healing spell.
Do something.
Damage amplified. I require medical to handle the attack. I need help.
This is starting to look dicey.
Enchanting your damage.
I'm
Much
taking
better.
damage.
My servants never die.
Did you pressure that Widow? With Ash, I mean. She got pocket, yep, no.
Barrier is unstable.
Duplicating Ash.
I'm taking care of you.
What is that melody?
Let's keep it moving. Don't stop now.
Out of existence.
30 seconds remain.
I'm glad you didn't duel McCree. Good.
Mercy in the Reitschaftsdienst.
The payload
I
has
am
reached
powerless.
the checkpoint.
Damage systems increased.
Another downtime moment. This is your chance to make a plan.
Taking off.
My healing spell is upon you.
Okay, McCree's down. Nice. Huge. We can push on this. We don't even need ults. It's already 6v4.
Behind you.
Fire at will.
My damage spell is upon you.
Clumpy tail him on. Wholly predictable.
Where does it hurt?
Barrier no longer exists. Damn it.
The payload is approaching its
Casting a
destination.
spell on you.
Pull together.
My servants
Yeah, I
never
don't
die.
This could just win the game, so yeah.
Let's get you back out there.
Payload moves towards a predicted outcome.
Helden sterben nicht.
Experience tranquility.
Right beside you. Schutzengel is down. I'm taking care of you.
Start your engine.
Cover me.
Impact.
Yeah, I wouldn't pull out your pistol there.
30 seconds.
The only reason I say that is that you got all your team, and one thing about, let's talk a little bit about Battle Mercy, just real quick. So you got to kind of treat Battle Mercy with the same sort of opportunity mindset as you would a Tracer, is one thing. And so when you go for kind of a Battle Mercy opportunity, it's kind of like you're playing Tracer. You got to wait for enemy to engage your team, for one. And in that moment, if there's an opportunity for you to be at an off angle and catch someone by surprise, then by all means, pull out that pistol and start killing them. However, there's also a bit of a caveat too. If there is a teammate who is also aiming at the same enemy, then it is worth damage boosting the teammate instead. So just try to keep that in mind. When you have 4 people on the point and the only fight that's happening is on the point, then there's really not much of a reason for you to pull out your pistol. There's a huge delay in switching the weapons and then switching back in case you did need to emergency go back to healing. And by damage boosting the rest of your team, instead of you pulling out your pistol, you're actually enabling them to charge their ults faster. So I would recommend just go Captain Bluebeam Extreme rather than Captain Pistol Whip.
Don't let up on them.
It's time.
That's gonna hurt. Yeah, shit. That's an ouch.
A clean bill of health. I
Yeah.
empowered you.
10
I
seconds.
think that's the end of the game. I don't like in touch.
I'm with you.
Maybe Lucio. Nope. That's it.
I've got you in my sights.
Yep. Okay.
Victory.
Well, I hope that was pretty informative. That was definitely much better to watch than the Hollywood game. The Hollywood game is kind of boring, but this one, a lot more lively, a lot more stuff happening. So awesome. I know you mentioned you wanted to play Ana as well. You want to work on Ana positioning. That's one of the things that I'm working on with a lot of other people right now is Ana and primarily like her positioning. So I've got a lot of things I can talk about Ana as well. If you want to submit like an Ana video, I'm happy to look at that as well. All right, let me know what you think, and good luck.